My guest today is someone that I have known for more than a decade. And I know that because it was before I had my son, who is now 11 years old. And she is brilliant. Today, we're talking about sleep. And as many of you know, sleep has been an issue in my life for decades because I was a morning show anchor and got up in the middle of the night. And there were nights I would sleep 4 hours, 5 hours, and then on the weekends, I might sleep 10 hours. And I learned that that's not good for you. And I know a lot of people listening also struggle with sleep issues, all kinds of sleep issues. So Suzy Cohen is joining me now. Suzy, it is so good to see you. And usually we only get a couple of minutes to talk, that in my TV past. So having the time to really dig in deep on this issue and reconnect is wonderful.
It is wonderful. And it's wonderful to be on your podcast. It's such an honor. Thank you so much, Natalie.
Well, thank you. And you have written how many books have you written now?
I've lost track because I have all these ebooks, but I think there's 5 that are in publication as paperbacks. And then, of course, they're in different languages around the world. But Drug Muggers takes the cake as far as the most popular drug because it's about drug nutrient depletion. And I think after that, it's either a tie between Diabetes Without Drugs and Thyroid book, or no, I would say that's it. I would say those are my 3 top books, but I do have other ones because I'm like a walking nerd.
I love that about you. Drug Muggers was really the first book that I interviewed you about. It's when I met you. And I think of the sleep topic a lot like Drug Muggers because you might take a medication for an issue you never really understood. And then all of a sudden you're taking another drug because you're taking one drug and it just turns into a vicious cycle. And I found that with sleep issues. I wasn't sleeping, which made my thyroid imbalanced, which made me have restless legs, which then my immune system wasn't working. So I was trying to fix all of these things that basically were a problem because I wasn't sleeping well.
Right. And the saddest part of that is that if the sleep isn't addressed, the doctors will layer pill upon pill upon pill, and each pill will, mug part of a metabolic pathway that's necessary, like it'll mug a nutrient. So, for example, something like alprazolam, very popular, sold under the brand name of Xanax. Another one, Zolpidem, sold under the brand name Ambien. These drugs will rob nutrients that are required to make melatonin, and melatonin is your sleep hormone. So that explains why some of these drugs, they knock you out. They're good at putting you to sleep, but they don't really give you true sleep because they're stealing your rapid eye movement and they're, slowly suppressing your levels of melatonin.
So let's talk about sleep just in general. We
Yeah.
know it's important. And you just mentioned that REM sleep. So getting into that type of sleep, explain what happens, why we need that deep sleep.
It's restorative. It rejuvenates your brain and your body. I mean, let's face it, we all need a vacation, right? Especially after 2020. But your brain needs a vacation and it needs it every single night. So if you're not sleeping properly for yourself, which could be defined many ways, could be 8 hours for some, it could be 6 for others. But if you're not getting that restorative sleep where you wake up and feel refreshed and ready to go, then slowly over time, your immune system crashes. And like you said, for you, your thyroid crashes. That happened to me as well. Sleep is important because it helps you fight viruses, which is important right now. And then also it maintains your circadian rhythm, which is a cycle that your body goes through. But yeah, I mean, if your brain doesn't get a vacation, it's just like your whole body. You're not going to be able to conduct productivity and function well. You'll be a zombie all day. It's just bad.
Oh boy, I relate to that zombie all day. I felt like that and I kind of got used to living like that, which is terrible. So
Yes.
I'm curious because you mentioned just a moment ago about waking up feeling restored. When we wake up, should we be able to jump out of bed and feel good? Because I didn't know that for a long time. I'd wake up after even a long night's sleep and feel groggy. Is that normal?
So a hangover in the morning could mean that you're doing something at night that's lingering. It could also mean a flat line of cortisol, which could be checked via
Mm.
urine, via a test called the Dutch test, which I do have available at my site. I can tell you more about that later. But it gets much worse than this. And I know this doesn't apply to us, but there are people listening to this that suffer with schizophrenia and bipolar and other mental conditions and emotional conditions. And there was a brand new study that was published just this past week, and it was in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, and they found that insomnia leads to higher rates of suicidal ideation
Mm.
and attempts. So, I mean, this isn't just about making your immune system work and feeling rejuvenated. This is potentially going to save people's lives. They need to sleep. They just need to sleep.
We absolutely do. For so many years early in my career, and I think a lot of people fall into this. You think, "Oh, I can get by without sleep. I'll stay up late and study. I'll get up early in the morning and go on a run." And we
Yeah.
don't value it enough. We think that's the thing we can sacrifice, especially moms. Like that was definitely the thing that I gave up for many years was sleep to be able to do it all. But then
Yeah.
I learned years later, I really wasn't helping anyone if I wasn't well, if I wasn't
Right.
healthy.
Well, and that's so aware of you to realize that you need to put yourself first. So many times, moms, caregivers see this as well. We put ourselves at the bottom of the list because everybody else's needs come first. And then this is interesting. I don't know if you've heard of sleep procrastination, and sometimes it's referred to as revenge sleep procrastination, but it's a thing. Have you
What
heard
is
of?
it? No, I have not
So
heard of this.
this affects people that feel like their days are out of control and they're in a high stress position, maybe as a caregiver or perhaps a job that's just eating up all their time, and they feel so out of control that at night it's almost like a bit of revenge. And I use the word loosely, but this is how it's documented and referred to by many sleep experts. But they choose to stay awake. So they'll scroll through Instagram and they'll scroll through Facebook, or they'll, read some books on their Kindle or whatever, but they deliberately induce sleep procrastination because it gives them a sense of control over their time. It's kind
Mm.
of like if you could hear their mind running, it's like, I'll just sleep later. I just want to stay up now. I have control of my time and I'm going to do what I want with it. And this is what I want to do right now. And I'll just catch up tomorrow. But yeah.
Almost like an eating disorder where you
Mm,
have control over one thing. And so you exert that control. However, you're not being healthy in doing that.
that's
Wow.
great analogy. That is exactly it. And then a lot of times it could be followed up with a drug like a
Mm.
benzodiazepine, which they come with a risk of potential addiction. And then Ambien, I mentioned earlier, which may be implicated even in Tiger Woods' accident.
Mm.
Nobody really wants to talk about it, but it's
Mm.
showing that there was a possibility he might have been what's called sleep driving. It's happened in the past. Again, this is just my opinion. I don't know that that's a fact or anything. It's just something you can Google and see. But
Wow.
the point of that is that medications may be useful for a temporary part. They play a role. I wear my pharmacist coat with pride. I mean, medications play a role. Some of them save lives, like anti-seizure drugs and drugs for asthma. But for chronic use, I don't agree with that. I feel like if you can get to the root cause of your sleeping problems and address sleep hygiene, you're going to feel better in the long run. And you know that.
You just said what I live by. Let's get to the root of the problem. Let's figure out. For me, we talked about this years ago, and you've impressed me from day one because I've had restless legs. So getting to bed at night, it was like I just had this like jitter in my legs. And the first thing you said to me was, "How are your iron levels?" And I'd say,
Mhm.
"Oh, that's how are your ferritin iron levels?" Like you knew exactly. And that was the thing. I was so depleted, partially from lack of sleep in my iron levels. So sometimes, always, I believe, get to the root of what the problem is, treat that instead of covering it all up. Let's talk for a moment about catch up sleep. Do you think that you can catch up on sleep like I did for many years? I thought I did. I'll suffer during the week, but I'll catch up on a Saturday morning. Is there really truth to being able to catch up on sleep?
No. So tell me again, so you would wake up at like 3 in the morning and not get enough sleep, and then on a
On
Saturday
a
or
weekend, I would
Sunday?
try to make up for it. So I would go to
No,
bed late, get up early, so 5 hours sleep during the week, and then on a Saturday, I would sleep a solid 10 hours. But I would
no, it
wake up
doesn't work
so
like
groggy.
Yeah, I can see why people might think that. And I have done that in the past temporarily, but you're not talking about a day or two. It's like saying I'm not going to eat for 5 days, but then I'll eat on the weekend. Like,
It doesn't work.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work because you're in sleep deprivation by day 7. Uh, it, I mean,
Yeah.
people don't realize with 7 to 14 days without real adequate sleep will induce sleep deprivation and everything that goes with it, including higher risk for heart attack and diabetes and depression and walking around with that hungover feeling all day because your brain needs to make GABA. GABA is short for gamma aminobutyric acid, and that's why we call it GABA. And the body loves GABA. GABA puts us to sleep, and along with melatonin and some other sleep hormones.
I love the analogy, though, of feeding yourself every day. We need food and water every day, and we need that sleep every day, not just on the weekends. In researching this, I had my own sleep issues, and I know so many other people struggle with other sleep issues. I've talked to several people who struggle waking up in the middle of the night multiple times, not
Mm.
being able to fall back asleep. So essentially, they're not getting into the cycle that we need of REM sleep, right? What are the
Right.
the main issues with people who wake up multiple times or they can't fall back asleep after waking up?
Okay, so this could be like an hour-long conversation because it's so common. It happened to me last night. Full disclosure, I'm a little tired this morning because I had broken sleep last night, but
Mm.
I'm worried about my father and he's been ill and he's getting discharged into a nursing home. And so I just have, it's heavy on my heart. He's 93 and of course, mom isn't sure how to live alone right now. So these things are just ruminating in my head. And so that's one thing, worry. People will wake up during the night and have broken sleep because they're worried about something or someone they love or their job or whatever, insert, right?
Mhm.
The other thing could be a light problem. Maybe the light isn't dim enough and you've got all these the light from the humidifier and the light from the alarm clock and whatever.
Mhm.
Temperature is another big one. Uh, Studies have found that if your room's a little bit colder, which isn't hard for us to do in Colorado, right? We crack the window open. But think about trying to sleep in Florida or somewhere where it's hot, or even on a vacation. If you're sweating during the night, you're not going to sleep. Um, and then reaching back to my nursing home days, a lot of the patients and residents that I saw in nursing homes didn't sleep well and had chronic insomnia because they were in pain, but this was unknown to the nursing staff because maybe that person couldn't speak anymore. And so it became my job as a consultant pharmacist to try to figure out what their history was. Did they have a history of arthritis or a hip replacement or bursitis or some other type of chronic pain disorder, anything. And once we addressed the pain, they would start to sleep during
Mm.
the night. And then there's much more, but those are the top sleep hygiene, you know.
So, in other hygiene issues, light, sounds, like I have a dog who will wake me up at the bottom of the bed scratching. And I realized, like, that's what was waking me up. Simple things. So, unfortunately, she has to sleep outside the door. She's not happy about that. But sounds, light, the type of blanket or the heaviness of a blanket, a mattress, like really deal with all of those. Those are the easy things.
Those are big.
Honestly, those are easy to fix.
Yeah, they are, and people don't think about it. And maybe their partner doesn't want them to change something. He likes it hot, she likes it cold.
Hmm.
There's all that. And then there's the snacks. Like my husband has done this. When he watches this, he's gonna know he's guilty, and there's no way getting out of it. But I'll be sound asleep at midnight, and I just hear crunching going on, and I'll roll over, and only to find he's eating cereal. He's eating cereal at midnight because he can't sleep because he's watching something, and like these types of habits are not good. But first of all, it's the fastest way to induce diabetes. Don't do that. But I think his excuse is, well, doesn't milk help you sleep? And I'm like, can you go eat it in another room?
So, another tip, think of the people who are also in the room
Yeah.
and make sure their sleep is not disturbed.
Yeah, totally. And then another one for me would be I love things hot. So when I get sushi, it's the spicy mayo. And, if I'm eating Mexican, I'll love the salsa. but this will revisit you at 2 a.m. where you will
Mm,
be like reaching all over for your nightstand looking for Rolaids or a Pepsid, like that will keep you up.
okay.
So no
So
spice.
no spicy food. So let's talk about, let's dig into the natural things that you can do. First, I know you're going to tell me to put the screens down. That's the number one thing we hear. How much of an impact does that have? Watching TV before you go to bed, looking at your phone. So many of us are guilty. My alarm clock's on my phone. My phone sits by my bed. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I grab it and then I might see something on Instagram. And then 20 minutes later, I'm scrolling instead
Mhm.
of trying to fall back asleep. Is that really impacting my sleep?
Yeah, Natalie, that's happened to me too. So I've taken to the habit of, have that automatic app or the blue light reduction thing. I think it's
Mhm.
called Flux, but that's an app I think you can put on there on older phones, but the newer phones come with it and they'll automatically dim. But then you got to think of EMF. So I just put it on airplane mode, and I have just trained myself that if I'm gonna do that in the middle of the night, I'm just gonna open a book like and read a book. I'm not going to go to the news because down the rabbit hole I will go.
As we all do. So that really is something that, although it wastes time when you're awake, it really is keeping you awake. We talk about that sleep hygiene. Is that one of the big issues, is people just getting on the phone and letting their mind wander when they should be falling back asleep?
Yes, Nally, you're 100% right. I mean, that is absolutely bigger than people think, and then they'll have a drink. Like I'm so upset about what I read here. Then they'll go and have a glass of wine or a shot glass of something. Well, alcohol can induce sleep for some people, but for many, it impacts a hormone in your body that's abbreviated as ADH, and it'll make you urinate all night. So, staying away from, and I'm talking about staying away from spicy foods and things like that after 6 p.m. And alcohol isn't what it's cracked up to be in terms of causing people to sleep.
Okay,
It's
that's interesting. I want to ask you specifically about that. So
yes.
many people think if I have a drink, even just one drink, a glass of wine, whatever it is, it's going to help me wind down and help me fall asleep. But what I'm hearing you say is that your sleep is not as good, even though you might initially get to sleep, you're not getting a good night's sleep from alcohol.
So what you said is exactly true. It will help people wind down. It helps relax inhibitions, and we all know that and love that feeling of warmth that comes over us when we have a glass of wine. And all of that is true, and it might help you to fall asleep. But I'm referring to latency, such as staying asleep. And in some people, not all, but in some people, they're really impacted by the ADH, the anti-diuretic hormone. And when it's impacted by alcohol, it'll make you get up to pee like, every hour or two, and then you can't sleep. And you're at higher risk for a fall. So that's a problem, as is caffeine, which is my favorite drug of choice. I
Mine
love
too.
caffeine.
Coffee
And
all day.
yeah, my brain's in a cup. I drink coffee. Um, but caffeine can interfere with one's sleep, but in a different way. It's just a stimulant. It's offsetting that GABA, and it's increasing hormones that keep you alert and awake. So that's another thing. And timing of medicine. So many people think they can take their thyroid hormone at night. You can't. That's a stimulant.
Mm.
That needs to be taken in the morning. And some antihistamines, if they're taken incorrectly, you will sleep all day. Case in point, a drug like Zizal, which is a new antihistamine, which works great. You need to take that one at night. It'll make you sleep. So timing of your pills is very important if you want to stay alert during the day and then sleep at night.
Very, very important and interesting. Let's talk about natural remedies for sleep. So I every once in a while will take melatonin,
Mm.
um, or a nice chamomile tea at night. Like, what are some things that you would recommend that are healthy ways to wind down?
Some of the things that can help you sleep that are natural would include chamomile, and this is sold in commercial teas,
Mm,
and you see it in supplements as well. And then, of course, the essential oil that's the most famous for sleep is
lavender,
lavender.
love it.
That's a
Mhm.
couple. There was a study a couple years ago about lettuce. So wild lettuce contains this ingredient called lactucarium, which has effects that are similar to opium. They used it in the old days for whooping cough, but it's a sedative, wild lettuce. Sad to say, romaine doesn't give us that same effect, but I do think romaine is really good for its, giving us B6 and B9 folate, which will help with restless legs. So eating greens that are rich in B6 and folate will help sleep by virtue of helping restless legs and akathisias. I have a sleep supplement called Sleep Script that is a combination of incredible different herbs such as passion flower. It has the chamomile, it has melatonin, it has something called 5-HTP, which is an amino acid that converts straight into melatonin. And it's a natural blend that'll help people sleep, but also wake up refreshed. There's no hangover with it. And it's really cool. The coolest part about Sleep Script is, well, first of all, it's patented. It's so unique that the United States Patent Office decided they would issue a patent on a supplement, which is almost impossible to get. I mean, think of the bazillion supplements out there. And I got a patent on the sleep formula because it's a natural way to help, with restlessness and to calm the brain down. And it's not addictive in any
I
way.
am really excited to try that. I haven't tried it yet. And
Yeah.
can anyone take that?
Yeah, I would say anyone can take it. My only caution is that if you're taking a sleep aid that's like a drug or another sleep aid, that you would, not mix the two, because you could have an additive effect and that would be dangerous.
So try to wean yourself off maybe of the sleeping pill and alcohol and start doing something more natural. You would suggest that, of course, under doctor's advice if you're doing that through a doctor.
Yes, that's difficult if somebody's been on a sleeper for many years. It's possible, but definitely, like you said, with supervision and to wean slowly, because, weaning off benzos could take months to years. So maybe, Sleep Script might be better targeted for someone that is just needing occasional help or hasn't begun a medication therapy and they just want to sleep tonight because they're just exhausted thinking about this and they haven't slept in a while, and they take 2 capsules an hour before bed and go to sleep and wake up feeling great.
I'm
Yeah.
excited, really excited to try that. Here's a big one for you.
Yeah.
I hear more and more people, as more states are allowing marijuana, I hear more and more people who are using marijuana or CBD or that type of drug to sleep or to wind down. What are your thoughts on that?
So the type of marijuana would matter. The higher indica strains are going to help with sleep. The CBD types of marijuana that you're seeing won't really help with sleep. They're more of an anti-inflammatory and they have no psychoactive effects. But true marijuana that contains indica, people are using that. And like you said, it's getting decriminalized everywhere. I live in Colorado like you. So like for us, it's like everywhere.
It's
Everybody's
become very common. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
Is it like alcohol or sleep pills though, where you are falling asleep because of it, but are those people getting restorative deep sleep?
I don't know. I think so. I think it does provide some REM. The last article I read about marijuana wasn't about its sleep inducing effects. It was actually about the fact that we're finding now that some people are having some kind of weird and pretty unusual reaction to it where they are throwing up and vomiting a lot. And only the smartest doctors in the ER are able to detect this, especially if the patient is giving them a true history. Imagine a 17-year-old going in with his mom or his dad, not willing to say, but going in with, projectile vomiting or severe vomiting. And they can't figure out what's wrong. But we're seeing a lot more of this. And I don't know if it's because somebody's altering the strains or if we're just seeing more of it because the herb is being decriminalized now everywhere. So there's more usage. But it's a syndrome where people will smoke or eat, something with marijuana and they just throw up and it's dangerous. It could be fatal. So that was the last article that I was reading
Yeah,
because there
that's
was
scary.
of it in the
Yeah.
news. Hmm.
Well, so much good information. I could talk to you for hours. I appreciate the tips, as I know a lot of people do, as this is so just such a debilitating thing for so many people. And I encourage people to get more information. Your website's chocked full of it. But I have a couple of questions I
Sure.
like to ask everyone when they come on the podcast, because I think we learn from other people who are smart and successful. And I consider you certainly one of those people. So, my first question is, what is your favorite tool for productivity?
Tool. You mean like caffeine,
Whatever
like
it
a
is.
cup of coffee?
Yeah, well,
Is
that's
that,
one of mine too. But
or
anything
green
that
tea?
just helps pick you up or helps you get motivated or that you just couldn't live without. Maybe it's your planner, or for me, my newest tool, and I guess a tool could be thought of many different ways, is consistency. Just doing the same thing every day in little bits instead of huge chunks.
Oh, that's a good. So I see where you're going with this because I was trying to figure out if you wanted an app or because I
It
like
could
my
be that
scanner
too.
app. I like my
Yeah.
scanner app on my phone, but I think my favorite tool per se would be silence. When I silence my phone or put it away and there's quiet, and then it's just me and my laptop, which is like the other man in the house. I can write. I can put together like a 4,000 word blog in about an hour. So I would have to go with silence.
Wow, that's really good. And hard for some people. Sometimes I need the music, but I think I need the music. What I really need is just silence and being comfortable in
Mm.
silence. I love that. Good one. Thank you. Okay, and the second question is, what is your purpose in life and when did you discover it?
I want to help people feel better. I want to matter to people and I want to make their life better and leave things better than I found them. So if someone's in pain, I want to ease it. If someone has trouble swallowing, I want to fix it. Um, I just want to matter to people's lives. I think I knew that easily around the age of 18 when I was doing a science fair experiment and trying to figure out, ways to help people with recurrent ophthalmitis stomatitis, which is the big medical term for canker sores. And they're annoying, they're painful. And I was doing experiments with hamsters, not hurting them too much, and just trying to figure out. And at the end of the day, I realized, with a role for lactobacillus and bifidobacteria and probiotics. Probiotics at the age of 18,
Mm.
I thought I really want to be doing something like this to help people and research and share my findings.
Well, you
So,
certainly have done that in so many ways, and thank you for that. Where can people get more information on you, on your products? I know we want more on that sleep product. Where can people find that?
okay, so the sleep formula that I referred to earlier was the sleep script, and I'm giving away a free bottle as long as I have supplies. It's not this bottle; it's a 1 to 2 week supply, so it depends how they take it. It's 14 caps. If they take two at night, it's going to last a week. But that's available at suzycohen.com with a /sleep. So again, suzycohen.com/sleep.
Great.
And they can get a free bottle while I have them. They will have to pay shipping, and I think it's like $3, maybe $4. But
Easy.
the
Yeah.
bottle itself is free, and you could try it and see how it works. And I'm not going to cling or stick to you like a tick. It's just a genuine gift. There's no. I'm asked all the time, why are you doing it? It's because it's patented, and I'm that confident in the product, and I'm that confident that people are going to love it, and so I'm willing to give some away for free just to get them started. So that's why that is. And then as far as articles, if they want to use the search box and look up a specific disease or medication or herb, it's just my name, suzycohen.com.
Well, we will link all of that in the show notes. So much information. I know I'm going to want to talk to you again soon because in everything that I like to do in this podcast with family and health and mindset, you embody all of that. And I appreciate your friendship and your expertise. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie. You're the best. It's been such an honor to be with you. Take care.